Ambassador stood before the Grand Council of the Galactic Union. His four eyes blinked nervously as 12,000 representatives from across the galaxy watched him. They had gathered in the massive floating chamber above the capital planet of Prime. The question that burned in everyone's mind was simple. Why had the Galactic Union forbidden all contact with the small blue planet called Earth for the past 300 years? Had been chosen to finally reveal the truth. He was the last living witness, the last survivor of the original contact mission. His species lived for thousands of years, and he carried the weight of this secret for far too long. The council had demanded answers after a young explorer named had accidentally entered Earth's solar system and never returned, just like all the others before her. The ambassador took a deep breath through his gill-like openings. He activated the holographic display behind him. A beautiful blue and green planet appeared. It looked peaceful. It looked harmless, but knew the terrible truth that hid beneath that beauty. 300 years ago, the Galactic Union had discovered Earth during a routine mapping mission. The planet was located in a quiet arm of the Milky Way galaxy. Initial scans showed primitive technology, simple radio waves, basic space exploration limited to their own moon. The Council had classified humans as a Level 2 civilization, barely worth noticing, certainly not a threat. Had been a junior science officer on the first contact ship called the Eternal Wisdom. The crew consisted of 47 members from 12 different species. They were excited. First contact missions were rare and celebrated events. They expected to find simple creatures who would be amazed by their advanced technology. They expected gratitude and wonder. The ship landed in a remote area that humans called Siberia. It was winter. The cold did not bother the crew because their environmental suits protected them. They emerged from the ship with translation devices and gifts of knowledge. They came in peace, as the Galactic Union always did. The first human they encountered was an old man walking through the snow. He was wrapped in thick furs and carried a simple tool for chopping wood. When he saw the massive silver ship and the strange creatures walking toward him, he stopped. The crew expected fear. They expected the human to run away or fall to his knees in shock. Instead, the old man squinted at them. He set down his axe. He walked closer. And then he did something that confused everyone. He laughed. Not a laugh of fear or madness. A genuine, warm laugh. He spoke words that the translation device converted into their language. "Finally," the old man said, "took you long enough. My grandmother always said you would come." Remembered the confusion that spread through the crew. This was not the reaction they had studied in their first contact training. Primitive species were supposed to panic. They were supposed to worship the visitors as gods. They were supposed to be overwhelmed. The old man invited them to his village. The crew followed, recording everything. The village was small, with simple wooden houses and smoke rising from chimneys. When the aliens walked into the center of the village, the humans gathered around. Children pointed and laughed with excitement. Adults nodded as if confirming something they had always suspected. The village leader, a woman with gray hair and sharp eyes, welcomed them. She offered them food and warm drinks. She asked questions, not about their technology or their home planets. She asked about their families, their hopes, their fears. She asked if they were happy. The crew was disturbed. This was wrong. Everything about this was wrong. Over the following days, the crew studied the humans. They ran tests. They observed behavior. And what they discovered changed everything they believed about the universe. Human brains were unlike anything in the galactic database. Their minds operated on multiple levels simultaneously. They experienced something called imagination with an intensity that other species could not comprehend. They created art that made the crew members weep without understanding why. They told stories that burrowed into the mind and never left. But that was not the dangerous part. The dangerous part was their emotions. Humans felt everything with overwhelming power. Their love could move mountains. Their anger could burn worlds. Their determination was an unstoppable force that all logical calculation. When a human decided something was important, nothing in the universe could stand in their way. The crew's lead scientist, a being named Doctor, conducted a psychological evaluation on several willing human volunteers. The results terrified him. He called an emergency meeting on the ship. "They are not a Level 2 civilization," Doctor announced, his voice trembling. "They are something we have never encountered, something we have no classification for." He displayed his findings. Human history was a record of impossible achievements. They had survived ice ages, plagues, and countless wars against themselves. They had climbed out of every disaster stronger than before. When their planet tried to kill them, they adapted. When they faced impossible odds, they succeeded anyway. But the most alarming discovery was something Doctor called competitive evolution. Unlike other species that reached peaceful stability, humans never stopped competing. They competed against nature, against each other, against the limits of their own bodies and minds. This constant struggle had created something unprecedented. Humans were still evolving, rapidly. Their potential was unlimited. The captain of the Eternal Wisdom, a wise being named Commander X, made a decision. He ordered the crew to pack up and leave immediately. He would recommend to the Grand Council that Earth be quarantined, not to protect the galaxy from humans, but to protect the galaxy from what humans would become if they learned they were not alone. But it was too late. A young crew member named had formed a bond with a human child during their stay. The child was a girl named Maya, only 8 years old. She had shown her drawings, pictures of stars and planets and strange creatures. When looked at those drawings, she felt something she had never experienced, a desire to explore, to create, to become more than she was. Decided to stay behind. The ship left without her. The crew reported to the Grand Council. Earth was quarantined. All contact was forbidden. Any ship that entered their solar system was to be considered lost. Paused his story. The council chamber was completely silent. 12,000 beings held their breath. The ambassador continued. For the next 50 years, the Galactic Union monitored Earth from a safe distance. They watched as humans developed new technologies. They watched as humans explored their own solar system. And they watched as the descendants of made a choice that would change everything. Had children with a human partner. Those children had children. Within 3 generations, a new type of being existed on Earth. They looked human. They thought human. But they carried the genetic memory of the galaxy within them. They knew the truth about the universe. And they decided to keep it secret. These hybrid beings, who called themselves the Watchers, made a pact. They would protect Earth from outside interference. They would guide humanity's development from the shadows. And they would ensure that when humans finally reached the stars, they would be ready. Over the centuries, other aliens came to Earth despite the quarantine. Some were curious scientists. Some were foolish adventurers. Some were hostile invaders hopping to conquer an easy target. None of them ever returned to report what they found. The Watchers dealt with each visitor differently. Some were welcomed and given the choice to stay. Many accepted. Life among humans was intoxicating. The art, the music, the passion, the constant change and growth. Aliens who experienced human culture often could not imagine returning to their sterile, stable civilizations. Others who came with hostile intentions simply disappeared. The Watchers protected their home with fierce determination. They used technology that blended human creativity with galactic science, creating weapons and defenses that should not have been possible. Took a deep breath before revealing the final truth. "The reason no one returns from Earth," he said slowly, "is because no one wants to." The council erupted in confused murmurs, raised his hand for silence. "I was the only crew member who did not return to Earth after our mission," he explained. "I was young and afraid. I chose duty over curiosity. Every other member of my crew eventually found their way back. They could not stay away. The memories of human warmth, human creativity, human passion drew them back like gravity draws planets to stars. He displayed images captured by long-range observation drones. Earth had changed dramatically. Cities of impossible architecture rose toward the sky. Ships of human design now patrolled their solar system. The Watchers had guided humanity to develop technology that matched and exceeded galactic standards. But they had done it the human way, with art and beauty and soul. "A did not die," announced. "She is alive and well. She sent a message 3 days ago through a secure channel. She says she is happy. She says she has found a family. She says she will not be coming home." The council chamber buzzed with alarmed conversations. The president of the council, a massive crystalline being named, demanded silence. "What do you recommend we do?" asked. Smiled sadly. "I recommend nothing. It does not matter what we do. Humans are aware of us now. They have been preparing for centuries. In 50 years, perhaps less, they will leave their solar system. They will spread across the galaxy like wildfire, and they will change everything." He paused, looking out at the assembled representatives. Fear was visible on most faces, but saw something else on a few: curiosity, wonder, even excitement. "Humans are not our enemy," he continued. "They are our future. They will challenge us to become better. They will create art that makes us feel things we never knew we could feel. They will ask questions that will reshape our understanding of existence itself." "And if we resist them?" asked. Shook his head. "We will fail. Human history proves one truth above all others: they cannot be stopped. They cannot be contained. They can only be joined." The chamber fell silent. The weight of the revelation hung heavy in the air. Somewhere, far across the galaxy, on a beautiful blue planet, 8 billion humans looked up at the stars. They did not know that the greatest powers in the universe feared them. They did not know that their creativity and passion had already begun transforming galactic civilization. They only knew what they had always known. The universe was vast and full of wonders, and someday they would explore every corner of it. The Watchers smiled in the shadows. The time was almost here. Soon, humanity would take its first steps into the greater galaxy, and nothing would ever be the same. The truth about Earth was simple. It was not a prison that trapped visitors. It was not a danger that destroyed them. It was a home that welcomed them, a family that embraced them, a future that called to them. And once you experienced what it meant to be human, you never wanted to leave. The Grand Council voted that day. The quarantine would remain, not to keep humans contained, but to give the rest of the galaxy time to prepare, time to evolve, time to become worthy of what was coming. Because humanity was rising, and the stars themselves trembled with anticipation.